One of my very excellent subscribers asked me to do a reaction to the Daybell verdict. I don't really have too much to say on that I haven't already said. And so if this is not something you want to spend your time with, believe me, that's okay. But because I do have a couple of thoughts that I thought I'd offer, I'm going to go on ahead and make a small video, a short video that goes into them. Hi, Tony DeWitt here. I'm a Missouri Appellate attorney, retired, and I bring you a fresh perspective on the law without offering any legal advice. So pull up a chair. This is what we're discussing today. To begin with, to me, it was a foregone conclusion that they were going to convict Lori. It, I was only surprised by the fact that it took so long to get there. But I can't fault the jury for that because they were doing their due diligence and they were not making a snap decision. A snap decision usually implies an emotional decision, and we want justice dispatched carefully and dispassionately, so they did a good job. And I've come to think that maybe my remarks on how long it took to get a verdict at the beginning, I don't think they'll be out more than 30 minutes or something like that. I'm sure I said something equally that stupid. I have to say, I should probably not do that because it's disrespectful to that jury that they should just make a snap decision because juries want to do the right thing. They want to answer the questions at issue and they want to do it in a way that makes them proud of what they've done after they've done it. So I don't think anyone disputes the fact that she should never have acted as her own attorney. And I think that in spite of being a novice, she had some pretty good ideas and some good threads that she could have pulled if she had been properly trained. She could have kept out some of the prosecution's evidence if she had known how and when to object to that evidence. In fact, if she had been properly trained, and the fact that she is naturally intelligent, even if she's evil, I believe that she could probably have done the job of an attorney in another life. In another life, Lori Daybell might very well have made a good attorney because she is smart. But it's not another life, it's the one that she's in. And no matter what she did in Arizona, she was always going to spend the rest of her life in an Idaho prison. I guess now she has a choice between Idaho on the one hand and Arizona on the next, but I'm not sure which of those two I would take in that position. I would think it'd probably be better in Idaho, but then I wouldn't be in that position to begin with, so there's that. This little thing that I'm holding up right here, it looks like it might be an iPhone. Well, it is an iPhone. It's my iPhone. But it's not just an iPhone. It's a collection of a lot of photographs that I've taken all over the world. It contains photographs of a lot of different family outings. It contains videos, particularly Christmas videos and things that we share amongst the family. It contains photographs we've taken on our trips. Once something like that gets into your phone, unless you're a world-class hacker, you're not going to get it out. Or unless the photo is like really important to you and you accidentally delete it and don't understand how the silly system that Apple has for recovering stuff works, then you could probably delete it, but that wouldn't matter because it wouldn't be important to you then. And in fact, in some cases, even if you're a world-class hacker, you're not going to get most of the stuff that your phone retains about you out of it until you actually get rid of that phone. When I was about 11 years old, I was living with my Aunt Naomi. And my Aunt Naomi presented me with a little hardbound book with lined sheets of paper in it and told me that when I got angry or frustrated or I needed to confess something, that I could write it down in my diary, and that diaries were personal and private, and that people who read them were just not very good people. Like your typical gullible 11-year-old, I believed her. The fact of the matter is, diaries should be considered to be personal and private, and my Aunt Naomi was as good as her word. But it was in that diary that I confessed, or perhaps I should say I bragged about having spent less than an hour pulling weeds in the garden, because I figured out that if you just dug up enough dirt around the weeds, you could bury the weeds and they'd be out of the way and nobody would think anything more about it. Pro tip for future weed hiders and other potential criminals: don't leave your diary out where someone can pick it up and read it. My aunt, she respected my privacy. My cousin John, not so much. He explained what I did, went out with a shovel to the garden and pulled away the dirt from the weeds and explained to my aunt what I had done. Oh my goodness, I had to spend the rest of the afternoon out there in the hot sun pulling those dead gum weeds. And my cousin and my aunt and my uncle, they all went off to the movies. I learned an important lesson on that day. One, never confess. Two, never confess in writing if you're going to confess. And three, never confess such that your cousin can get a hold of it and use it against you. To this day, I don't have a diary. Well, no, that's not true. Today, we have apps on our phone that we can do all kinds of things with. We can order food and pick it up. We can order food and have it delivered. We can make notes about things that we've seen. If we need to know the length of a dipole antenna, if we're a ham radio operator, we can pick it up and put the information in, and it will give us the length that we need. There are all kinds of apps made by all kinds of different people that do all kinds of different things, and this is now like having a computer in your back pocket. That is essentially what it is. It is a computer that you keep in your back pocket. In addition to that, we can make calls pretty much anywhere we are, anywhere we want to, as long as we can hit a cell tower. And we can do all these things through the miracles of technology. What people like Lori never realize is that at the time we're holding on to these phones, using these phones, we're also making notes in an electronic diary. We're dropping electronic breadcrumbs that someone can come behind us and find. The cell phone knows where you are. It knows what tower it's connected to, and with the technology that's currently available, the police can pinpoint your location pretty easily. And that's what they did to Lori in her trial. They used the electronic diary that was her cell phone and Charles's cell phone as a way to track her movements and ultimately to get her convicted. We also send text messages with those phones. Most of those text messages are things like, "Where do you want to go for lunch? Can you believe what that guy did when he cut me off?" Natural, normal, everyday stuff. We probably all understand that those text messages are likely going to be there for an eternity. That somewhere out in Utah or some other place, there is a huge data bank that has all that information in it. I don't ever send anything about anything I'm going to do illegal on a text message because, one, I don't do anything illegal, and two, I remember that you never send a text message that you don't want to be on the front page of the New York Times. I'm pretty careful about that. And unfortunately, a lot of other people aren't. And in this case, fortunately, Lori Daybell wasn't, and Chad Daybell wasn't. There are a lot of things in my text messages that I wouldn't necessarily want to have revealed because they make me look small or petty sometimes. But by the same token, if they were published on the front page of the New York Times, it would be a mere trifling embarrassment. It would not be something that would wind up causing me to lose a job or perhaps, go to jail. I think for most of us, we're never going to come up against the police and have that stuff pop out. Lori and Chad planned this crime in part on a cell phone. A comment that they got rid of Ned, that was part of the reason they got convicted. "We got rid of Ned" was the quote in the text messages. In an interview post-trial, one of the jurors said that it was really the text messages that nailed it down for her. If there is one important lesson to be learned from Lori Vallow Daybell's trial, it's that your phone is not your friend if you are up to skullduggery. If I was the kind of guy who was planning on harming someone in the way of Lori and Chad did, I wouldn't be. I would make sure that my text messages didn't contain anything that didn't pertain to breakfast, lunch, or dinner. I would also leave my cell phone at home anytime I was planning to do anything that might be associated with that particular brand of malfeasance. I consider myself to be a pretty smart fellow, but I'm not smart enough to beat the criminal justice system if I committed a crime of the nature that Chad and Lori did. I know that because even people who are professional at that job wind up leaving evidence behind. Almost everyone leaves behind DNA. Most of us never think about that, but maybe we should. It doesn't matter now if you have used one of the services like 23andMe or Ancestry.com to have your DNA checked, which I have, by the way. It doesn't matter because if any of your relatives have, they can use this forensic analysis through the DNA and come back and find you, even if you haven't given your DNA to the government. We might think about that when we think about what the founding fathers considered to be important protections to us, the right to not be a witness against ourselves. DNA is the very blueprint of you, and as a result, it's pretty powerful testimony that you wind up giving by leaving your DNA somewhere. To me, it's always been a vexing problem. I'm kind of glad that they put bad people away with it, but it also troubles me a little bit that the government seems to know a lot more about me than I would really want anybody to know about me. But such is the world we live in today, and that's life. I think the overarching lesson from Lori Vallow Daybell's trial is that what a lot of us think of as conveniences are actually an electronic diary that one should respect. Of course, everyone should stay on the right side of the law. That's a given. But every now and again, people go and do things they wish they'd never done, and they wind up getting tried for it. When they do, that electronic diary is often the straw that breaks the camel's back, just the way it was in Lori's trial. That's what I have for you today. I hope you found it helpful, interesting, or maybe both. If there's a subject you'd like me to discuss, please feel free to send me an email at the address above. If you like what we do, please feel free to subscribe and come on back to the beach tomorrow. I release videos every weekday, weather and work permitting. If you have the opportunity today, do a kindness for your fellow man. It makes the world a better place, one kind act at a time. And now, YouTube has some suggestions for other videos of mine that you might like.